that lunch between these senators and President Trump. We've got more here in terms of what actually happened behind closed doors. Back to David Sivak at the Examiner. He had some good posts on this yesterday. He said a ton of newsy details. First off, Trump dominated the meeting. Not surprised by that at all. I'm told Republican senators were barely able to get a word in edgewise. Thune didn't speak. Yeah, what did I tell you was going to happen? John Thune would disappear into the background. The guy was hovering by the punch bowl, probably standing by the exit, hoping to slip out at the first opportunity. He didn't participate yesterday. There was the fight with Cassidy, with one source telling David that the two men yelled at each other to sit down. Trump also fumed over his two impeachments, and much of the meeting was an airing of grievances. Yeah, some of these idiots were involved in pushing on the impeachment conviction, and the president wasn't happy with that. Trump brought up the Republicans who voted to convict him, of course, his perfect call with Vladimir Zelensky, and the 87 indictments against him. The SAVE Act did come up, David says. But he writes that it was only at the beginning when Rick Scott opened the meeting and at the end when Trump delivered a parting message. On the Save America Act, Trump warned that voters wouldn't show up if the bill doesn't pass. I think the president's right about this. This is one of those things that you and I have talked about quite a bit. And by the way, since we're on the Save America Act, of course, we should gavel in. The Save America Act is not only important, it's most important to establish that we have credible elections in the United States of America and to prevent fraudsters from even attempting to interfere in them. That's the most important reason. But the second order effect, and a very important one, is the extent to which that the base, the Trump base, has enthusiasm to send back up to Washington to support him. Because while you and I are very locked in on politics, obviously you're watching a show where we talk about these big political questions every day. You and I are the kinds of people who are going to go on a routine basis to vote in our local and state and federal elections. You and I are the kinds of people who are going to be trying to browbeat all of our neighbors and actually showing up to vote. But we can work our asses off, and it's not going to make the difference necessary to win these elections if these Republicans don't have a good enough case to vote for. Like, there are going to be voters out there, people who aren't watching this program, people who decide, you know what, I'm just going to sit out the election because these guys aren't even passing the bare minimum for me. Why am I going to participate at all? There are going to be people who sit it out. Now, they shouldn't, even with the crappy leadership in the United States Senate. We should stop the left at every turn on every battlefield. But the reality is very practical here. From 30,000 feet, the president's right. You don't pass the Save America Act, you are going to depress some percentage of the voter turnout. And that is going to hurt us in the midterms. You morons. Why do I have to explain this to you? Why does the president of the United States have to go into that lunchroom and explain this to them? He shouldn't have to.